Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is the part 3 of Unity series tutorial where I demonstrate on how to build your first Unity project with absolutely to no effort. If you did follow my other parts, that's good to know. In this part we'll be covering on how to set up post-processing, how to set up your spawn point, and how to do everything else just in basic Unity. I kind of configured some things on the last part to make this look a little bit better. Like the windows and such, as you can see, it's at a different arrangement. But that's besides the point. In this part, we're going to be covering how to set up a tone mapper, as well as post-processing. And if you don't know what post-processing is, it's basically what makes the lighting reflect and look a bit different. Say, for example, if you wanted to test that post-processing out, for example, what I can do here is I can go ahead and put in a cube here. I can go ahead and make a material for it. So let's go back to assets. I'm just going to go ahead and create a little material here. We're going to apply that new material. Actually, let me rename that real quick. I'm going to call this post-processing. And now, what we can do is, here I'm just gonna do a little bit of demonstration real quick. Just gonna do a little bit of demonstration to show you guys how post-processing actually works. Okay, now you see this white block? This white block here. Let me move it back up to the room. If you can see this white block, you can see it's not pushing anything, and it just looks like a plain white block. Well, what post-processing does, and here I forgot to add the volumes to my camera. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here is our white cube here. Warning, you will have to do this to the camera, which I'll show later on. But this is how it will look normally. Just a plain old cube. And this is how post-processing works. For example, you wanted to make a color definition shine more. Let's toggle this is global feature, and let's mess around with the intensity. So watch as I increase this intensity. So let's do 4, 5, or 6, or 7. Let's do 100 or something like that. But what essentially will it would do is add this kind of glow effect to this color. It's not really showing it right now, which I don't know why it's not showing. I don't know why it's not showing. I'm gonna try to create a new post-processing profile and configure it real quick. Alright, so now I have this post-processing profile on here with the is global toggle on. Hold on. Yes. Okay, so the is global toggle should be on. but I will show you exactly how to break down post-processing. This is just a demonstration. You don't have to follow along at home. This is just a demonstration just to show you and understand how this works. Not really reflecting that much. Let me check console. Okay, let me check my camera. So this would be better demonstrated in a room because obviously the sunlight isn't taking that much definition off of this. So what we can do is, for example, I don't know why this is working, but you should have a glow on your objects. First, okay, so let me break down post-processing a little bit for a second here. Post-processing makes your scene and environment look more stable while also contributing to that good color that you want in your scene. So, for example, if you want these colors to shine more or want something to shine more, like this cup, for example, if you want it to shine more, you can play around with the materials and add some post-processing to it. Same with these cabinets. If you wanted a more clear shine to it, you would mess with the materials on here to give it a much more clear shine. For example, these are what they look like now. They have a good shine to them. But if you wanted to make it better, you could adjust the smoothness, play with the smoothness a little bit, and just overall make it look better. For right now, I'm just gonna keep it where it is though. Okay, now, for example, let's try post-processing on a material, or actually, let's set up the spawn point first. So, how do you set up a spawn point? Well, I will tell you, it is in your project window. So if you head over here to your project window, make sure you're in Assets, search up VRC World. This is your prefab that VRChat offers you as a spawn point. Next, what you want to go do is you want to take that prefab and you want to drag and drop it into your hierarchy. Now, here's where your spawn point is. So let me tell you how to orient it correctly. Usually, the front face is where the blue arrow is, but you can orient it however you want. But right now, for my sake, I'm just going to orient it at the pace that it's oriented in. Gonna see if that fixes it. No. Okay, yes, that did. Okay, so you can orient your spawn point however you like. This prefab here, if we take a look at the inspector, it has certain components and certain scripts that are on this prefab that we want on our spawn point. And you can rename this to whatever you want. I just have it as VRC World as the default name. Next, the way that you orient this, I've already said this, but the blue arrow is forward. So if you're oriented, for example, if you're oriented like this, the blue arrow is facing that way, which is meaning forward. So, don't worry about your blueprint ID. You don't have to fill that in. It will automatically fill it in once you upload the world to VRChat. It'll fill in the build ID and all that other information for you. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some post-processing now. So, what we're gonna do is we're actually going to add some post-processing or some actual... You know what? We're going to add some glowing strips around this. So the way I like to do this is you go into your Pro Builder menu. If you don't have Pro Builder installed, you can get it from this window by going to Unity Registry and searching for Pro Builder there. But go into your Pro Builder window, click the drop down, go ahead and find Cylinder. You see where that is? Okay, that is over there. So let's spawn it, let's put it in. And now we have our cylinder in our scene. So, how do we make it and stretch it into a glow strip? So this is where the stretching this is where this tool comes into handy. This is if you've ever noticed this on text and images before, Google kind of uses this technique. It's called stretch, which basically stretches and minimizes photos or images in your text. And it's kind of the same way in Unity. So, let's just stretch this to a perfect tube. Okay, now once we have this in a perfect tube, we can go ahead and drag it up to the ceiling. Make sure it's not touching too far against the wall. Now, what the stretch filter also allows you to do is you don't have to select any faces to scale an object, but what it will do is it will scale and stretch. So basically, if you were having so let me demonstrate this real quick, because this is actually going to be helpful. If you have a certain texture on it, it will, if you stretch it, or scale it, or use this edge, it will stretch the material as well. So if you don't want that to be stretched, you're going to have to use this feature that Pro Builder offers and go ahead and select the faces. And I know this might be tiring. That's why I just like to throw that out there. Anyway. Once you got this won't matter. Once we stretch it on all sides of the wall. Okay, so once you have it there, make sure all four sides of this ceiling are in that strip right there. You duplicate it as much as you want if you want to. Okay, I'm just gonna do the lighting like this for now, because this makes the most sense to me. I'm not gonna tell you how to make a pipe for now, because I will explain the Pro Builder tools in another video. Right now, all we're focusing on is getting the lighting in place. Okay, so once you have that in place, it's time to fill in the materials. So, let's go back to our assets window. And let's, actually, we're going to apply the post-processing material that we acquired earlier. And it should look something like this. I'll tell you how to fill in the gaps in a later tutorial by showing you all the tools that Pro Builder offers in this little window as well. Right now we're just working on filling in the lighting. Okay, so how this works is essentially you want to add a post-processing volume to a single object. So, for example, if you're wondering how to do that, so you click Add Component, and you type in this little search bar. VRC should already pop it up for you. You type in post if you just type in post and select post-processing volume, this is your volume, where your volume will be listed and such. Right now I'm just going to add my volume. If you've already had an existing volume, you can go ahead and click the plus there and add it, or you can click new right here. What I'm doing is I'm going to add my existing post-processing volume. And once that's done, once you have your actually, I should probably create a new profile. Hold on. I'm going to delete this profile just for 1 second. Click new. This will create a new profile. Or if you don't want to mess it up, you can go and right-click your assets window. You can go to create, and you can head to post-processing profile, which is right here, and it'll make your profile for you. Once your profile is added, you can go ahead and drag that into your inspector window, and you can go ahead and drag it in here. Now, I'm just going to get rid of all these effects. Now. So your post-processing effect should look like this. Now, what you can do is you can play around with this as much as you want, add exposure, saturation, and such like that. But what we're going to do is click Add Effect, Unity, and then Bloom. This is the bloom intensity, which makes everything glow. So next, once you have bloom intensity on, click Intensity, and set your value. So in this case, my value would be probably 3 or 4, depending on everything else. I still don't know why. Hold on, let me debug for a minute. Okay, so I did find out the issue. Okay, so once you have your post-processing value set, for my example, I have it set here. I have it set to probably about 5. So, here's a little quick debugging window for you to help you guys out. So, what you're gonna do is you're gonna head up to the top here that says Vera World Toolkit, and you're gonna click World Debugger. This will open this little window here with all little World Debugger stuff for you. This this lists problems, errors, anything that is found in your project that has errors related to anything else, and helps you alternatively optimize your worlds. I'm just gonna keep this right here. So, once you have that, what we're gonna go ahead and do, and I'm not gonna click auto fix because I want to show you guys actually how to fix this. If the effects aren't going off and you have it as global triggered on and all that, if the effects aren't glowing that much, here's how to fix it. So, go ahead into your hierarchy, select VRC World, your spawn point that you created earlier, and see where it says reference camera? You need to grab your main camera in your hierarchy, so let me expand this for a minute. You need to go ahead and scroll up in your hierarchy, see where it says main camera. This is your scene's camera. So what you want to do is you want to grab that main camera, drag it in here as your reference camera, and as soon as you do that, everything should start working. If World Debugger says it start working, then you're good. If your layers are not matching, however, I have a way to fix it. I know it tells you to ignore everything or default, but for this scenario, we're going to click everything, and as you can see, the glowing has started. Now, I know it warns you not to use everything, but it's completely fine. It just slows down the post-processing volumes. What we're going to do is we're going to disable reserve values, and we're going to do this. So default, this is fine. We're gonna just use the default value for now. Now your post-processing has worked. So this is what it should look like. Your materials have a slight glow to them. And obviously if you want to, you can change the color of the material. For my sake, I'm just gonna do a soft, warm, kind of brownish orange. I'm just gonna do a softish brown orange, kind of like that. Now, once you have your values configured, now it's time to actually test your world. So, once you've got everything done and your world looks somewhat decent, it's time to test this world out. So, what we're gonna do is we're actually going to go up here to the window, VRC SDK, and we're going to click show control panel. This will open this window up in your scene here. It'll be just a little window. You can go ahead and dock it wherever you think is best. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is you can name your world whatever you want to build and publish it. But for the sake of this, for the sake of time and convenience, we're just gonna test it real quick. So, so this is a unknown error that I got, and I have no idea why. Usually you can check the console listed at the bottom of your Unity window to check errors like this, but I have got an unknown error, and I'm gonna kind of spend some time to fix this real quick, so just bear with me. Okay, so I found the issue. It was one of my assets did not work with VRC and kept messing with the control panel, so I had to delete it. I had to delete the asset because I wasn't using it. Anyway, if that ever happens to you, just look in the console. It may provide some information. If you don't understand it, you can go to, you can just look up how to use the Unity console on any search engine that you're using. For like Google or example, but you can just look that up. So in order to test our world, we're gonna test it on desktop just to see how it looks. For now, and I will call you back when it's done. Okay, so now my window's actually on my second monitor. So now it'll load into our world right now. So once we see that this world is okay and good, like this, for example. Oh, wait, we are getting... Why is that like that? Okay, well, the world is functional for the most part. I have to play around with the camera though. If you... Okay, so I know what's going on. It's my camera's clip value. So there will be a couple of things you need to do to be able to wonder why your camera is doing that. So I'm gonna exit this window for a minute, and I'm gonna show you what you need to do. If that ever happens and your screen ever shakes like that, it's your camera's clip value. So what you want to do is you want to head to your Unity window, open debugger, which you could find from the top here. Remember, go to VR World Toolkit and then World Debugger. Once you have that open, you're gonna go ahead and find where the problem is. In my case, it's the main camera. You're gonna select it. you're going to head over to your inspector, and you're going to turn the clip value down. So, well, I'm just going to bring this window out just to see where the clip value is. Okay, so here are your clip values. 0.3 and 1,000. So this is automatically going to tell you what you should put your camera value at. Just copy the values that are whatever it says. So in my case, what we're going to do is we're going to add a 0.3 in it. And we're going to go ahead and test that, just to make sure it's okay. And I'll see you guys back on the next test. Now let's see if our camera value resets itself. That's one of the main problems that your camera has, is to get your camera value or clip value kind of mixed up on each other. So let's see if that fixed it. And as you can see, that fixed it. So really all you need to do is you can go in your SDK control panel or your VR World Toolkit window and reset your camera's clip value so that your camera lines up with this. So as we can see, our world's running fine. Post-processing looks okay. Now you may wonder why your lighting doesn't look accurate. Now let me explain that. VRChat does this thing where it sets your graphics. If you have lower graphics, this would be the time to actually raise them. But for this video's purpose, I'm just going to put everything on high. You may wonder why it's not reflecting on the ceiling. That's because, let me explain. VRChat has a culling system in place, and what a culling system temporarily does is it basically, the lighting that you see in Unity won't reflect in there because it culls the lighting. And it stops the lighting from producing on the ceiling or some objects or whatever. So, in order to fix that, what we can do, and I probably didn't do this when I opened up the test, you can click your light probe here, go to the inspector, and you can do this. Set it to real time, and what we're going to do is we're going to try out box projection and see how that goes. Now, you can play around with these settings. It won't really affect your lighting if you have a room like this. However, if you have a room with very much reflective surfaces or, say for instance, glass, then this could end up messing with it entirely. So just keep in mind of that. Next, we're going to go ahead and test this. So I'm going to get out of this window and we're going to go ahead and test. So as you can see, it's kind of doing it, but what we're going to do is we're going to play with the graphics settings here for just 1 minute and see if that fixes it. If it does not fix it, then you may just have to reorient your lights in a particular manner from the ceiling. So if it doesn't look like how it does like this in Unity, it doesn't look like where the ceiling is reflecting like that, but it still has lighting on it, it may either be the culling system that VRChat has in place, or you may just have to orient your lights at a different manner than everything else. So I'm gonna play around with this and for a minute and see what graphics I can get with this. So I will see you guys in a minute. Alright, so that took way longer than it should have, but we're back. Okay, so if this works, then my problem has been completely avoided. If it doesn't, I'll tell you how to fix this later, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna do that. We're gonna try that. Okay. I get why it's not doing this. I tried messing with the lighting. I tried messing with the settings. It's the cooling system. So we're not gonna worry about lighting for now. It looks okay. Everything else looks okay. We're not gonna worry about the lighting at all. So, this is what your world looks like, when it's done. Except for the lighting. The lighting I'm not gonna focus on because it's just the cooling system. I can't mess around with it. It's VRC cooling system, so. Um, Other than that, this is what your world looks like. Everything is picture perfect. Looks okay. You yourself can run around in it. Now, I will test this in VR in just a moment, but this is actually the perfect player size for your players and avatars to walk around in. So, this is what you call a perfect world. Now let's go test this in VR and see how much frames we get, because we're doing fine at 72, so see how much we get. Okay, so now we're in VR here, and as you can see, the world is perfectly fine. There are there are a little bit of graphic dysfunctions, like the reflective glass isn't shown here, but you can easily fix that via scripting and all that other good stuff. But with everything else, it is perfectly in line in level with your avatar. So is the doorway. But this is how it is. We've got good frame rates in here. To better optimize, I'll show you guys how to better optimize your world in a second. But this is what it looks like, and it looks pretty well done. You can take close looks at some furniture and some objects to make sure that you did good on your project. Now, some of these assets are creator made, but they're from the asset store, so you can just get them no problem. But these all look good. Now, if you I want to tell you guys something. If you take a quick look, like a closer look at a couple of plants, you can notice that these leaves right here are all meshes. These are not actual leaves. These are what's called meshes. Meshes, in a quick form of breakdown, meshes are are objects we see. So basically, a cube, for example. It's basically a cube we see. So mesh and collider. Let me explain those real quick. Mesh is something we can see. A collider is something our player collides with. So, for example, my avatar is colliding this. And for another example, materials. There are three form factors of an object: material, collider, and meshes. Meshes help develop the object's shape and structure, while colliders help develop the collide pattern, and then materials help develop the look of an object. So that's the perfect breakdown of what an object is. Now, let's head on to desktop and show you how you can optimize this world even more, because what we're currently sitting at is 25 frames. So we can make it a perfect 72 by just optimizing it on desktop. So, see you there. Alright, so we're back on desktop. Now, you saw the 25 frames that we previously have gone with, so let me tell you how to optimize the world for yourself. So, the way to optimize storage, first of all, let me tell you how you can optimize storage. So, the way that you optimize storage is something called texture compression, which it sounds like what it sounds like. Compressing is making texture files smaller. For example, making resolutions, materials or textures clearer or more blurred out and pixelated. For example, the resolution is how clear or crisp a texture looks, so not how pixely. However, crunch compression works via shortening texture files so that your RAM doesn't get used that much. So let me tell you how to optimize the world via texture compression. So what you want to do is you want to go head up here to your Windows. I believe if I can find it, it should be somewhere up here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what you want to do is head up to VR World Toolkit, head to Quick Functions, and click Mass Texture Importer. This will pop up a window right here in your scene with various buttons and tasks for the creator to even manage. Well, I'm gonna tell you how this works. So, a lot of these are developer functions, but I'll tell you how they work. So, basically, you can get textures from via the scene or your assets. So let me explain what these are. So the getting textures from a scene is getting textures from your scene that is currently up here. All the textures that are from here are in this scene alone. Now getting textures from assets are getting textures from your file window, which is the window down here where they get assets from. Warning, if you have bigger assets, like bigger sizes, bigger files, like a large asset catalog, it will take much longer to compress those textures to be able to look okay. But otherwise, we're gonna grab textures from the scene, and you'll see a little loading bar pop up. And then what you want to do is you want to decrease the max size. Your overall max size should be on here. Do not do this one because it will raise storage standards. Instead, click the drop down and click 1024. This will change your resolution and overall decrease file size without decreasing the overall appearance of your scene. So, all these other settings you can mess around with to be able to configure your texture files and shorten them in whatever way you like. So once those are done, you can head to assets and you can do the same thing. Click the drop down, click 1024 if it's on 2048. Click 1024 and then crunch compress. Once you're done, click apply, and this will apply all the textures to apply everything to the textures to get crunch compressed. So once your textures are crunch compressed, you'll see your overall build size. If you go to World Debugger window for a minute, and you go to Build Report, this lets you scan how much things are in your build currently right now, such as texture files, assets, materials, meshes, light probes, cameras, lighting data, everything that's in the build report, and it displays it up here. So when you go ahead and, for example, build to test in this VR chat window in the control panel, when you build the test, it will give you a list of things up here from the build that has succeeded before it. So you can keep an eye on your storage. So, for example, these texture files here are everything that's in the project. So you can go ahead and select it. You can double click to find exactly where the file is in your asset window. The texture, for example, is in the assets window. Now, what Unity likes to do, I'm just going to say this right off the bat. Unity, as soon as you create a material, it will open a new folder full of that same material again, which I don't know why, and I don't know why it does that, but it did that for me, and I don't know if it's doing that for anybody else. But the materials in those materials folder, the folder is just materials. It will just say materials. That's it. If that does happen, you can delete those. Those are fine. Unity just likes to make meta files sometimes, which are backup copies of materials. Which, if your materials get messed with or deleted, it won't really matter that much. Because you can just recreate them. Otherwise, the way I'm not gonna play around with the light probe. I use real time in many of my worlds just for the realistic lighting feel it gives for us. And the normal function that you're supposed to use is baked function. So, oh, that was my monitor going off. Okay. So what you're supposed to use is you're supposed to use the baked function. So instead of using real time, you're supposed to use this baked function because of Android. And it's because it actually frees up overall frames and performance and doesn't, and in turn just makes the lighting look like crap, and some things look like crap. Like some things on baked won't reflect correctly. As you can see before, as soon as I switched it to bake, these cabinets and material stuff won't really reflect. I mean, they do reflect, but they don't really give off some metallic feels and some metallic reflections. But you can fix that. If you just go into the material, and this one does not have a metallic, it has a smoothness, but if you go into the material and you go in, try and mess around with the settings a little bit, get it to reflect as well, and even on Quest as it does on PC, you will end up with a nice reflection. But that is overall how to optimize your world. So, you guys, if these tips helped you, please, I'll try my best to answer comments down below, for you guys that answer. But overall, if you want to know more about the assets and things that I use in my worlds, I will provide those in certain DMs. I won't provide them in my server. I will provide them in certain DMs because my server already has an archive. But if you want to join the Discord or add me down below, I can share some certain assets that are provide some certain assets that will be helpful and beneficial to making your to develop your Unity scene. So, without further ado, this is the end of the 3D, or should I say scene developing tutorial, where we develop all of these things. The next part is going to show the inner workings of this, such as Udon Sharp, and just the basic breakdown of encoding part aspect of VR chat in general. So, I hope I hope you enjoyed this, and leave a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you want more. And yeah, overall, I'm just gonna include the VR chat Udon tutorial series in here if you guys would like. But yeah, and see you guys later. Bye bye, everyone.